Shalom and welcome to ReligionWinked TV, where my spiritual ears stay. Guys, good morning and welcome to the morning edition in 7. I believe 208. We'll get right into it as soon as my computer stops acting crazy. We'll go ahead and get right into it. Alright, guys. How's everybody doing today? Hey. I had to work my other job. Things are running slow around here on this computer. But guys, we know some people like to get up and read people to filth. We like to get up and read people to life. That's life more abundantly. According to John 14:6, Christ says he's the way, the truth, and the life. And except a man come through him, they cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So we know also that people cannot physically see, read, and or some people are church hurt, abused and hurt by the church. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you know when I go live, upload, and or premiere. Okay. And again, the music is still going slow. It looks like we're 1 minute and 44 seconds in. So I'll go ahead and get right into the morning read. We left off on Daniel chapter 1 through 3. So we're going to do 4 through 6. Let me get in here and make some changes real quick. I rushed home from work. I'm like, I got a few moments. Let me go ahead and get this morning read. We are actually on episode 208. And this would be for September 16th. Alright, so we have all our dates, right? Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get into this read, guys. Alright? So chapter 4, verse 1 says, Nebuchadnezzar, the king unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. 2. I thought it good to shew the signs and wonders that the high God hath wrought toward me. See, even God will give the enemy of his children favor. 2. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God hath wrought toward me. You notice he said the high God, right? The God above all. 3. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. 4. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house, and flourishing in my place, meaning prospering. 5. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. 6. Therefore I made a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretations of the dream. 7. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told them the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. 8. But at last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom his spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. 10. Thus were the visions of mine head in my bed. I saw and behold a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. 11. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. 12. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. The beast of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all flesh was fed of it. 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher, and an holy one came down from heaven. 14. And cried aloud, and said, Thus hew down the tree, and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves, and scatter his fruit. Let the beast get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. 15. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his root in the earth, even with the band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven. And let his portion be with the beasts in the grass of the earth. 16. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over the beasts of the men. 18. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof. For as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Now when he says spirit of the holy gods, is little g here, okay? But we know Daniel rocked with the Most High God. 19. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. 20. And we have to go over to verse 37. The tree that sawest grow, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heavens, and the sight thereof to all the earth. 21. Whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. 22. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. 23. And whereas the king saw a watcher and a holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass in the tender grass of the fields. And let it be wet with dew, with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him, meaning 7 seasons or 7 years. So 24 says, This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my lord the king. 25. That they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Are you guys hearing this? Verse 26. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. So, even though God has given Nebuchadnezzar favor, Nebuchadnezzar abused his favor and abused God's people with that favor he was given. So now God is saying to Nebuchadnezzar, listen, 7 years, 7 seasons gonna pass. You're going to be out in the grass, out eating grass, out grazing with the oxen. You're going to grow long fingernails and long bearded hair and all this other stuff. We're going to get to it, right? But for now, verse 27 says, wherefore, O king, let my counsel be accepted unto thee, and break off thine sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. If it will lengthen the peace that you once had, this is what you need to do. Stop abusing the poor, right? 28 says, all this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. 29, at the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. 30, the king spake and said, is not the great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? 31. While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken. The kingdom is departed from thee. Let me take a sip of this orange juice here. Let me tell you something, people. You don't want to hear the kingdom is departed from you, or depart from me, you workers of iniquity. 32. And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Do you desire to have the kingdom? Excuse me. So it goes on to say, 33, the same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws. You see, guys, I'm giving you this Bible tea. I'm not just reading word for word. I'm giving you hints and clues before I even get to what's in the Bible. So, I said he had long nails, and here we are in Daniel chapter 4, verse 33, and it tells us that. 34 says, and at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honor him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. Now, I would imagine Nebuchadnezzar still thanked the Lord, because after 7 years, after 7 seasons, he can return back to his kingdom. Hopefully, he has a humble heart and repented from his wicked ways, right? That's why he's still rejoicing and kind of glad here, because he know God is not totally destroying him. 35. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, what doest thou? 36. At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom my honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. In the last verse of chapter 4, now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. Just like Nebuchadnezzar, when you walk in pride, God will take everything you once had, your life as you know it, your job, your sanity. He'll take it from you. because he wants you to humble yourself from the pride. So we're going to go right into chapter 5. We're a little under 15 minutes to go. 14 minutes and 53 seconds. So let's get right into chapter 5. Verse 1, let's read. And we have to go over to 31. Belteshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the thousands. This is Belshazzar. I don't know if they left the T-E out for Belteshazzar, which would be Daniel. The king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. 2. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem. Don't get Belshazzar mixed up with T-E, Shazar. Two different people here. This Belshazzar is the king's son, Nebuchadnezzar's son. So it goes on to say, 2. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. See, they want to pollute the temple of the Most High God. That's all everybody ever wanted to do. Especially Zeus and Dionysus and all those other Greek, Assyrian, Roman emperors of that time. 3. Then they brought the golden vessel that were taken out of the temple of the house of the Lord, out of the house of God, which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. 4. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. See, wood and stone. God says you're going to worship wood and stone. And you're doing that here in America. So 5 goes on to say, in the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. See, this says the hand of God is written on the wall. The writing of God is written on the wall. God used his hand to write on the wall. You guys heard this before, right? If not, guys, I'm telling you, get with the spirituality of this Bible, at least the stories, and begin to believe some of them, because they are true. So it goes on to say, 6. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose, and his knees smote one against another. He became knock-kneaded, right? 7. Then the king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and shew me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the 3rd ruler in the kingdom. 8. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. 9. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. They were perplexed. 10. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, little L, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. 11. There is a man in the kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, little g, was found in him, whom King Nebuchadnezzar, thy father the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. 12. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpretation of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts, and were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will shew the interpretation. 13. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou Daniel, which art the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? Now Jewry is spelled Jewry. That could be translated out of the Jewish culture or Jewish custom or Jewish ancestry. 14. I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the little gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. 15. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. 16. I have heard of thee, that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, that's purple, and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler of the kingdom. Now, purple is significant to royalty. 17, and we have to go to verse 31, I believe. Yes. And we're doing good with timing. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. 18. O thou king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor. 19. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him, whom he would slew, and whom he would have kept alive, and whom he would set up, and who would be put down. 20. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. This is God who did this. Yahweh did this. 21. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was like the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. Remember, God is the governor of all kingdoms in the earth, so he can let anyone rule whom he wants to rule. But the children of Israel should want to rule. You should stop wanting to play second-class citizens to all these other races out here, when this book is truly and entirely about you, Christians formerly known thereof as the Hebrew Israelites. 22. And thou his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this. 23. But hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, little l, thy wives and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified? You glorify all these other things that can't talk back to you, cannot see for you, cannot defend you, cannot save you, cannot redeem you. But you put all your trust in that instead of the Most High God. And you do not glorify God. 24. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. 25. And this is the writing that was written. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. Let's think about that for a minute. Mene, mene, M-E apostrophe N-E, M-E apostrophe N-E, T-E apostrophe K-E-L, U-P-H-A-R apostrophe sin, upharsin. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. 26. This is the interpretation of the thing mene. God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. 27. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. That's mean in need. Peres, Peres, P-E-R-E-S. Thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes in Persia. 29. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with the scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. Now Belshazzar kept his word. He says, I'll give you scarlet, which is purple. I'll give you a chain about your neck, and I'll make you third in command, right? Verse 30 says, in that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. 31. And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. That's about 62 years old, guys. Remember, 1 score is 20. 20 times 3 gives you 60. Add the 2 years, and you have your 62 years. So, we just heard this being prophesied or being translated or interpreted that Mede and the Medians and the Persians will take over. And now we have King Darius. Chapter 6, verse 1. Let's read. And we have to go over to 28. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. 2. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage, no loss. See, we see presidents here. And we know America has a president. And this is not my first time seeing the word president in the Bible, but in this context it is. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage, should have no loss. So, back in the day of the Bible, most people were called elders or kings or seers or prophets. You never heard really much president going on back then. So verse 3. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princesses, because an excellent spirit was in him. Something in my spirit saying mankind through this word president in here. I don't know. I just don't see the Most High God dealing with presidents in the Bible. But it's here. So we have to take it for what it is. But it's up to you to believe it or not. There's something about the translation of it. It just doesn't seem like it fits here. When they always dealt with kings and rulers and princes and governors, elders, senators even in the Bible. So let's see. Verse 3 says, Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and the princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. 4. Then the presidents and the princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find none occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. 5. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. They couldn't find nothing wrong, so they're going to make something up. 6. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. 7. All the presidents of the kingdoms, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute. Okay, let me finish. And to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 60 days, save of the king of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of the lions. Now listen to me. Being that the book of Daniel prophesies heavy against America, this would be the book where you would find presidents, okay? Let me just say that. That probably makes more sense to me right now. If it's going to be anywhere, it will be here in the book of Daniel, where all these prophecies and all these strange gold images and iron brass feet and iron clay feet and a gold head and a silver torso. That statue we read in 1 through 3, that's why presidents are here, probably because it's prophesying against America and its presidents. So verse 8 goes on to say, Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes or the Persians, which alter it not. 9. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. 10. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. 3 times a day, people. Muslims do it 5 times a day. Christians and people, if you do this 3 times a day and face Jerusalem, which is east, is more power in that kind of a prayer and supplication without ceasing than it is going to church on Sunday, or I don't even see where people really get together just to pray anymore. I know small churches do it and things of that nature, but prayer, fasting and prayer is a part of our spiritual balance in order for us to overcome a lot of the evil in the world. So it goes on to say, Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went over into his house, and his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. 11. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. 12. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which alter it not. 13. Then answered they and said before the king that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regarded not the king, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. So here's Daniel being rebellious, but not to God. He's being rebellious to the old wicked king, right? So 14 says, Then the king when he had heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. 15. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Now, O king, know, O king, that the law of the Medes and the Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. 16. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. 17. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. 18. And we have to go to 28. Then the king went to his palace, and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. 19. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste unto the den of lions. 20. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? 21. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. O king, live forever, right? The Lord liveth forever. 22. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. 23. Then was the king exceeding glad. It should be exceedingly, right? Exceedingly glad for him, and commanded him that should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. I want to say it's as simple as that, but you guys make believing in God out to be something profane or something abominable. All you have to do is believe, people. You believe in everything else and everybody else and all these other content creators out here. Start to believe in God. 24. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of the lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Now, see, when you accuse somebody of doing something wrong, generally that person is going to win, and you're going to end up paying the punishment that was for that person, that God delivered that person from. 25. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. 26. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. 27. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in the earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions, from the paw, from the hands of the lion. 28. The last verse of this read. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. And I'm saying we could prosper over here in the reign of the president Trump. This book, Daniel, is prophesying about presidents, about America, and we're going to go ahead and get right into chapter 7 through 9 in the next read. And guys, I will see you on the next upload, live, and or premiere. Let me go ahead and put this disclaimer. If you guys haven't already, please get over to my channel and subscribe, because my spiritual ears stay ringing. Also, guys, teespring.com, you can get some t-shirts and you can get some hoodies over there. Winksters, we lace. Looking at you side-eyed. Also, you can go over to Amazon.com and pick up a book for all your reading needs. And also, if you guys want to donate to this channel, you can do so by $ReligionWinked TV and PayPal me at Drew L. Murray 50. And guys, I'd like to thank you. God bless you, and you have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.